All right, hello everyone. Here we are, hole number 9, finishing up this guide. Now, there's a couple different ways we can do this. What I'm going to try to focus on here is going left, and especially since we have kind of a limited bag here, we're just going to focus on some precision and try to go left to set up a wind that's going to be almost essentially exact tailwind. Now, if you have a power 4 ball, it is going to make things a lot easier. If you can use a royal ball or something to that effect, it's really going to help you for the second shot. Similarly, if I wanted to use a berserker, to be honest with you, it might actually be even a better ball. Giving yourself that range for the second shot is greatly going to help you out. In fact, I'm half tempted to just throw that on here real quick, because I really do think that that's really going to give you some good range here. So let's see if I can't dial this up real quick. And you can see that I'm using very little spin. And 8-ish rings. Well, keep in mind that I'm trying to kind of intentionally underpull my rings because I intend to land. And it looks like I didn't quite. I was trying to intentionally land longer. Don't worry about that. One of the things that I think I forgot to do, which caused the problem, is I didn't do this. So here you can see it was 11 rings. So I ended up under pulling. This is kind of a perfect idea of, how accurate these ring numbers actually are. So if you guys are having problems with the slider and you're like, oh, well, why is this overplaying or whatever, you can see that with the, when you use the new wind directional arrow, and you can see when you're actually at max here, it's more like 11 rings, not 9. Had I accounted for those 2 extra rings, all would have been okay. But, not a big deal. We're still going to, go this way. And now that I actually have more time that I'm actually setting up here, hopefully, we're going to have a much better result here. So here you can see 12-ish rings. And as I mentioned, the very first time I tried to kind of underpull that intentionally. And this time I'm still going to underpull because I do want it to land up here, but very, very minimally. I'm only probably going to underpull by, say, 1 ring here. So somewhere right around here. Perfect ball. And here you can see much better result. And as I mentioned, it's going to give us a nice tailwind. And I'm not too worried, especially since it's such a straight wind. It really doesn't affect me too much that I have to play a berserker with my second shot. So I did want to show you this because I'm going to show you how much easier you can get for the backspin. You're going to be able to position much more like to a much better landing zone. If you're only using a power 3, for instance, you're going to have to almost not even backspin it because you don't have the range. Especially when we're talking about a Sniper 9. So it might be, beneficial to you guys, especially if you have Guardian 8s, to just give yourself that Guardian for this hole, to give yourself that range that you're going to want to make this easy. And as I mentioned, we're going to be able to get very aggressive on this shot with this method. And keep in mind, we will be pulling away from max, so you cannot use the max number. So here you can see how straight the wind is, just as I mentioned. We might start up here, but we're probably going to end up pulling back. So somewhere in the neighborhood, maybe 14 and a half rings. Maybe I'm thinking 14-ish rings. But you can see how much better I can get set up. Now keep in mind that this ball guide is going to stretch out. It's probably going to deflect a little bit more towards the right, and that's why you see me kind of lining up like this. And I'm going to try to do 14 rings in one motion, which somewhere in the neighborhood of about here. So what I was doing was basically, you know, visualizing those first 4 rings. And that's why you could see me setting up. But here you can see I still might have just been, you know, maybe it was a little bit more towards 13. And, you know, keep in mind that you're going to have to set it up short. But you're going to be able to get honed in on that. And it's only going to take you a couple attempts to get dialed in. But you can see, you know, that you really do need to be going that many rings. So I was, you know, just kind of looking at it kind of by eyeball because I was kind of getting tight on time. But I did just want to kind of show you, you know, especially with that range, being able to crank that backspin up, it's going to give you much more control. And if you can do something similarly with, say, like a firework ball and bringing that Guardian, that'll give you that much more of the opportunity there for the second shot. And you really won't need too much of that ball guide to be shown. Like with the sniper, you'll just be focusing on using the same amount of backspin each time and setting up the positioning of the ball guide to kind of the same short spot every time. So you won't really need to see that ball guide. Do keep in mind that, you know, it is going to expand out, and that's part of the reason that you see me so far off the very first time, but it's something that we can work on and get very dialed in on the next few attempts. And especially with having that very straight wind there, it's going to give you a very good chance to be able to get that one. So good luck there, guys, and I will catch you guys on the next set of guides, which is going to cover a little bit more advanced clubs and, you know, a little bit different shots that I'll go over.